Hi everybody, welcome to my YouTube channel and my first YouTube video. I've wanted to be a booktuber for a long time and today I decided that it was the day to film my first video. My first video is going to be showing you guys what I read in June. Today is July 6th, so I think I'm pretty much on time. I didn't read that much, so we're going to go through pretty quickly, so let's go. So the first book I read this month was India Holton's The Ornithologist's Field Guide to Love. So this book is about a bird researcher who, what is this about? I genuinely don't remember that much, like what the plot is. So in this book, our main character is obviously an ornithologist, which is a difficult word to pronounce apparently. And it basically starts with the fact that there is a competition set up where they have to find a really rare bird. So all the ornithologists of the world are like fighting each other to find this rare bird first. Because it gets you like tenure, I think, if I remember correctly. So they really want that. Eventually, our main character gets kind of split up from the woman that she used to go ornithologying with. And she ends up going on this trip trying to find this bird together with Devon, who's another ornithologist. When I started this book, I was really excited. I really loved the beginning. I thought it had great like comedic elements. I think it definitely tapered down towards the end, and the slow burn was not as slow as I would have liked it to be. And I really like seeing the couple together in the end, at least for like a chapter, maybe for like an epilogue, see them. They don't even have to be married or have kids, preferably. They're not married or have kids. They're just in love and together, especially when you spend the whole time kind of being like, will they, won't they, which I really like. But then in the end, I would like them to see them together a little bit. And I think for me, it tried to be too innocent throughout the whole thing. No one was really like that evil, and like in the end kind of like everybody got together and everybody was like, oh, we should have all seen that what we were doing was wrong and we celebrate our differences or whatever. I really loved the romance. I thought it was really funny and I liked seeing everybody try to get them together. I think this is like one of the books where I laughed out loud for like one of the first times. Like I usually don't laugh out loud. Even if I find it funny, I usually just go, you know, haha. But like I sat outside with my boyfriend and I was reading it and I was laughing really hard. And he was just looking at me like it was crazy, which I was. Let me look it up. Yeah, here. Page 105. And the chapter ends being like where the innkeeper, where they're trying to stay for the night, is like, in that case, I do have one room I can offer, but I must warn you, there's a slight bed problem. And so that's the end of the chapter. And as like an avid fan fiction reader, I was like, oh, here we go, you know, the one bed thing, like, haha, funny. But then they find out there's 7 beds in the room, which was just really funny to me. I don't know why. I guess I was in a mood. Now that I think back on it, it wasn't that funny, but it was just like that expectation in your head that it's going to be 1 bed and then it's 7 beds. I thought was really fucking funny. So I gave it 4 stars on Goodreads, which I guess I do agree with. I think like probably, let me see. Like probably up until like chapter 25, which is like this much of the book I really loved, and then just that it was just the ending that I didn't like. So I gave it 4 stars for that. It would have been 4.5 stars otherwise. It definitely wasn't a 5-star book because it lacked too much depth for me in the love. Like I believed that they were in love, but it lacked a little bit of the like really deep emotional connection that I look for in like a 5-star romance book. But I really love this kind of, yeah, I guess it's a romantasy because it's very much based on the romance and it is fantasy. But it's like similar probably to like Emily Wilde, where it's just like a really cute world. It's a little less dark than Emily Wilde, which probably, if it was as dark as Emily Wilde, which is not that dark, but a little dark, it probably would have been 4.5 stars as well. Like, some slight changes would have made this a lot better. So the next thing I read in the month of June is the Cruel Prince trilogy. So I read these back to back, and I started on the 1st of June And then I ended on the 8th. So in a week I read 3 of these because I really just wanted to know what would happen. So this is basically about a human girl who ends up as a young child going to the Fae world and basically being raised in the Fae world by a Fae guy. Honestly, that's all I could really say about it. Except for the fact that she's fucking psychotic. She's a psycho. In a good way, like understandably. Like she really matches the energy of the Fae people. Fae people? The Fae? If you're not prepared to like float around in like a gray area morally for your main character, then definitely don't read this. She floats around in that gray area a lot, and she goes into the black a lot too. What I like about this is the fact, about this female main character, is the fact that she has a goal in mind, which is to have power, and she does almost anything to get that power, and she's not like lying to herself about it. She's just saying, yeah, I want power, so this is what I'm doing to get it, instead of being like, no, I'm just wanting this or just wanting that. Like, you want power, it's obvious, and I really like the fact that she was just like, yeah, I want power, that's what I want, and that's what I'm going for. So it's really funny to see her struggle with power, to be like, it's like kind of like a tug of war that she's doing the whole time. So yeah, if you really love like the politics of Fae and stuff like that, then definitely read this. I don't know if I understood it wrong, the people who talked to me about this book series. I expected more of a romance. I didn't expect like a romancy, but I definitely expected more romance than it had. If you're reading this for the romance, then I wouldn't suggest it, because there isn't that much romance in here. It's kind of just like a lot of plot happening and a very like low buzzing in the background of the romance that only really gets resolved very late, which is something that I like. I like a slow burn, but I felt like this was like, what would you call it? Like, I like my slow burn to be slow and then end in like really big fire. Or whatever. I don't know how to say this, but this was just like kind of simmering in the background for really, really long, with, to me, not a very satisfying like ending to it. But the plot was really good, and the plot had a really good ending to it. So I really like the plot. If you're reading it for the romance, don't. But if you really like the political dynamics of the Fae world and stuff like that, then I would say try it. This is probably like a 4-star. And then this one, The Wicked King, which is the second one, is probably a 3.5. I like this one the least. And then The Queen of Nothing is also probably a 4-star. But I definitely did want to keep reading. I'm just like, more romance would have pushed all of them up like half a star. Like, these both would have been 5-star reads if there was more romance in it. Like, you could even make the book longer, because I definitely think that everything else that was in it was really great. You could have made the book like 100 pages longer, just give me a few more romance scenes, but whatever. It was good anyway. The next like book I read, it's more like an essay based on a TED Talk, is We Should All Be Feminists by Chimamanda Ngozi Adichie. Yeah, so this is kind of the story about how she became a feminist, how she'd always been a feminist, because in her head that was kind of like the basic thing to be. Like, you are a feminist when you're studying and you learn misogyny. And she just talks about how she struggles with that in her daily life. And she talks about her struggle of being a feminist in Nigeria. To me, this book didn't really talk about new, groundbreaking feminist points that I've never heard of before. It was very like, it's a good starting level, I think. Especially if you're like the opposite of a feminist, or like you don't really know what feminism is or why it exists. I think especially for me, a person who has lived in a country where, the rights aren't 100% equal. Will they ever be? I don't know. I hope so. But women have it pretty well compared to other countries, other women in other countries. So it's interesting to see that certain things that I as a woman find normal aren't really normal for a lot of other women. So I think that was the most interesting part for me from this book. But I think if you're not sure about what feminism is, or if you consider yourself a feminist, or if you would want to be a feminist, or anything, like if you're starting out with feminism, I think this is a really great little book to start with. And I also think it's great if you're like me, who has lived with feminism all her life, and you want to learn more about what it is like to be a feminist in a country where women have less rights and the gender roles are more separated than in your own. I ended up giving it 3 stars, but now that I'm talking about it again, I think I would give it 4 stars just because it gave me a different perspective. I think if you want to read like new feminist stuff and really learn about new stuff and more like groundbreaking stuff, great word choice. Jesus. Then this probably isn't the book for you, but if you really want to get a new perspective or you want to start with feminism, then definitely start here. It's great. The last book I read in June was In the Company of Witches by Orly Wallace. This is, she calls it an Evenfall Witches B&B mystery, which is kind of explains it very well if you know what Evenfall witches are, but you probably don't. This story follows 3 witches, 2 aunts and a niece, who run this bed and breakfast in a cute little town. You can kind of see it on the cover, but it has like a beautiful Victorian home on it. And basically someone dies in the bed and breakfast and they have to figure out who did it, because one of her aunts gets implicated in this crime. And so she kind of has to figure out who actually did it to help her aunt out. I really like this. My only quip with it really is the fact that I really like my mysteries to be solvable by me. I really like to be able to know who the person is who did it before my main character knows. When in books like this, they kind of use the thing where it's like they find this one big piece of evidence that kind of tells you who did it, but like I couldn't have known beforehand because of this piece of evidence wasn't like known to me. I like that less. Like I like being able to figure it out myself and making up theories. But other than that, it was really cute. It was really a nice combination between mystery and like coziness. It's not too extreme. It's not too scary. It's not like heart pounding, which is fun sometimes. I like that too. But it was a good like balancing act. So yeah, if you like witchiness and if you like mystery, but you don't like to be scared, then this is a great option for you, I think. I haven't given this any stars yet. I think for what it is, I would give it 4 stars. If the ending was a bit better and the person who ended up being the perpetrator made a bit more sense, like psychologically, I don't know, sociologically, I don't know, then I probably would have given it 4.5. But yeah, for what it is, for being a cozy mystery about witches, I think it did a really great job. Thank you so much for watching my June wrap-up. I hope you had a great time, and I hope to see you next time. Bye!